Good morning, evening, or night, wherever you are. Welcome to WHAM today. Take a deep breath, clear your mind, and let's drift through the whispers of today's world, one quiet thought at a time. As we wrap up Saturday, 2nd August 2025, let's see what stories are unfolding around us. The conflict in Gaza is escalating into a severe humanitarian crisis. Starvation is widespread, with hospitals reporting increasing hunger-related deaths, including the tragic death of 17-year-old Atef Abu Kata, who weighed only 25 kg due to the condition. Israeli forces have killed dozens of Palestinians, including those seeking aid at distribution points. At least 18 were killed by Israeli fire at one such site, and sources report 62 Palestinians killed since dawn, including 38 seeking aid. The UN has documented 859 deaths near Gaza humanitarian foundation sites since May. Hamas released a second video of an Israeli hostage, describing him as a living skeleton, buried alive, and affirmed they will not disarm until a Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital is established. They maintain their right to resist Israeli occupation until full national rights are restored. Action on Armed Violence reports that Israel has closed 88% of military investigations into alleged war crimes or abuses by soldiers without charges or resolution, including the killing of 112 Palestinians queuing for flour in Gaza City in February 2024, and an airstrike that killed 45 at a tented camp in Rafah in May 2000. Protests in Tel Aviv are demanding a hostage release deal. Amidst these developments, international figures are attempting to mediate. Donald Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, visited a GF-run aid site and met with relatives of Israeli hostages in Tel Aviv, stating he is working with the Israeli government on a plan to end the Gaza war. Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, is seen as a staunch supporter of Israel. The recognition of a Palestinian state by Spain, Ireland, and Norway in May 2024 was dismissed by Israel's closer allies as unhelpful. Meanwhile, legal and military developments are unfolding. American citizens living in Israel and the United States have filed a lawsuit accusing UNRWA of providing support to Hamas and Hezbollah. The Israeli military intelligence is reviving an Arabic language recruitment program for high school students and training all troops in Arabic and Islam, shifting focus from tech to spy. India will continue its purchase of Russian oil, which accounts for more than a third of its oil imports due to economic considerations like price and logistics, despite potential U.S. sanctions and tariff threats. India's ambassador to the U.S., Vinay Quatra, has inaugurated 8 new Indian consular application centers, ICAC, across the U.S., located in Boston, Columbus, Dallas, Detroit, Edison, Orlando, Raleigh, and San Jose. Keystone Law is assisting UK families who lost loved ones in the June 12 Ahmedabad Air India crash, emphasizing the need for swift DNA matching for remains identification. A state-backed drive to deport Bengali Muslims from India is being supported by media outlets. Young people in India are expressing spirituality as a personalized experience. Vijay Prashad has urged Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend China's Victory Day parade in Beijing on September 3rd, marking the end of World War II with China and Russia. Turning to the United Kingdom, Indian diplomatic missions in London, along with those of Japan and the US, have amassed over £9 sterling 20 pence million in unpaid parking and congestion charge fines, citing the Vienna Convention. Also in the UK, Keystone Law is providing assistance to families affected by the Air India crash. In Ireland, Indians are advised to take precautions due to increased racist attacks against foreigners. Across the United States, 8 new Insular Application Centers, ICAC, have been inaugurated by India's ambassador to the U.S. Vinay Quatra. The U.S. also finds itself at odds with India due to President Donald Trump's tariff charges on Indian imports. Indian diplomatic missions in London, along with those of Japan and the U.S., have accumulated significant unpaid fines. Finally, in China, Vijay Prashad has called upon Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to attend the Victory Day parade in Beijing. Australia, a pro-Palestine march in Sydney, organized by the Palestine Action Group, drew thousands who commenced at Lang Park. Organizers reminded attendees to prepare for rain and reiterated the movement's commitment to anti-racism, emphasizing a zero-tolerance policy for racism, anti-Semitism, or Islamophobia. In the Hunter region, authorities are searching for a 26-year-old Chinese engineer swept away by floodwaters in Rothbury, near Cessnock, while trying to evacuate a vehicle from a swollen creek. The New South Wales Parliament faces scrutiny for outdated rules regarding MP behaviour, specifically concerning Gareth Ward and Mark Latham, which are damaging the institution's reputation. Scammers are creating online ghost stores impersonating Australian businesses and individuals, such as dietitian Lindy Cohen, to advertise Ozempic-like weight loss treatments, falsely claiming GLP-1 substances. Despite removing TV ads due to public sentiment, Sportsbet is still advertising multi-bets on the AFL website, drawing criticism from gambling reform advocates who view this as a failure of industry self-regulation. United States. In Montana, law enforcement is searching for Michael Paul Brown, a 45-year-old US Army veteran, accused of fatally shooting 4 people at the Owl Bar in Anaconda. The U.S. Office of Special Counsel is investigating former Department of Justice prosecutor Jack Smith for potential Hatch Act violations following accusations from Trump and his allies of illegal political activity, despite a lack of evidence. Smith previously led investigations into Donald Trump's role in the January 6 U.S. Capitol riot and the alleged mishandling of classified documents. Senior Republican lawmakers are criticizing President Trump's decision to fire the leading US labor market statistician following a report indicating only 73,000 jobs were added in July, figures that, along with downward revisions, suggest an economic downturn. The Smithsonian Institution is updating its Trump impeachment display to reflect all presidential impeachments, denying any political pressure influenced the initial decision. The U.S. Senate confirmed former Fox News host Pirro as the U.S. Attorney for the nation's capital with a 50-45 vote. Air quality alerts are in effect across the U.S. due to wildfire smoke originating from Canada. International relations. The U.S. has imposed new tariffs on numerous countries, causing widespread disruption and uncertainty. Canadian wildfire smoke is causing air quality alerts in both Canada and the U.S., as blazes across several Canadian provinces and territories pose health risks to both nations. China is grappling with rising xenophobia after a Japanese woman was attacked in Suzhou. The government is also intensifying control over international travel for public sector employees, including confiscating passports. Despite these challenges, China is stimulating its economy with theme parks like the new Legoland Resort. China is nurturing an open-source AI ecosystem, potentially surpassing the US, while Meta is becoming more cautious. In Africa, China's influence is growing, evidenced by a Chinese-funded satellite data receiving station in Namibia. Domestically, academic paper mills are offering shortcuts to graduation. To combat a chikungunya fever outbreak in Guangdong, Vice Premier Liu Guozhong has called for strengthened prevention measures. China is investing $350 in Angolan, agricultural projects to enhance food security. With Sinohydro Group investing over $100 million for a share of production, United Kingdom is cracking down on illegal immigration by outlawing social media advertisements that encourage small boat crossings for asylum seekers. The new law will make promoting such crossings a criminal offence, punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a substantial fine. Meanwhile, Labour MP Jess Phillips has strongly criticised the UK's historical dependence on unpaid labour by women, arguing it has fostered a sexist attitude that undermines government support for essential services. Turning to the conflict in Ukraine, drone attacks have been launched against Russian targets, causing damage and casualties. An oil depot in Sochi caught fire, temporarily disrupting flights at the city's airport. A separate drone strike ignited a fire at an oil refinery in central Russia, tragically resulting in 3 fatalities. Ukraine's military has also reported successfully striking several Russian oil facilities, a military airfield used for drone operations, and a crucial electronics facility. Concurrently, within Ukraine, a corruption scheme has been uncovered within the defense sector, leading to the arrest of 4 individuals after public outcry forced the government to reverse proposed limitations on the authority of anti-corruption agencies. Japan is taking steps to combat foreign meddling in elections. Authorities suspect disinformation spread on social media during the recent upper house election. Japan will also allow emergency bear shootings starting in September due to increased sightings near populated areas. An insurance company is now offering coverage for bear-related damage. The weather agency is advocating water conservation amidst record-breaking heat. Innovation continues with technology to improve tactile paving with audio guidance for the visually impaired. New auto sales in Japan have declined for the first time in 7 months. Nissan and Honda reported drops exceeding 10%. Toyota astronaut Kimiya Yui has begun a 6-month stay at the International Space Station. He will conduct experiments in the Japanese module Kibo. Chinese films Editor Rights and A731 WHAM revisiting the Nanking Massacre and Unit 731 atrocities are stirring strong reactions to Japan's wartime past. These films depict the horrors of biological experiments conducted on civilians in northeastern China. Russia has seen Dmitry Medvedev, a former president and prime minister, become a leading hawkish voice within the government. Drone attacks originating from Russia targeting Ukraine reached a peak in July, reportedly increasing 14 times over the volume recorded in July 2024. In separate news, overnight Ukrainian drone attacks resulted in 3 deaths, as stated by Russian authorities. St. Petersburg hosted its annual festival, drawing thousands of participants in costumes who navigated the city's canals on stand-up paddle boards. The death of Dark Sauer, age 72, a strong advocate for free press, who later aided Russian journalists fleeing repression following the invasion of Ukraine, was also announced. He made a fortune in the 1990s and defended press freedoms as the industry declined. Ukraine is seeing almost half of the over 5 million Ukrainians currently living abroad expressing intent to return home after the end of the Russian invasion, with some already returning. The country experienced a record number of drone attacks from Russia in July, with a reported 14-fold increase compared to July 2024. It was also reported that overnight Ukrainian drone attacks into Saturday led to 3 deaths, according to Russian officials. International relations saw U.S. President Donald Trump declare he ordered 2 nuclear submarines to appropriate regions after a social media dispute with Dmitry Medvedev, former president of Russia, concerning nuclear submarine movement. Separately, SpaceX successfully transported 4 astronauts from the U.S., Russia, and Japan to the International Space Station in a swift 15-hour flight. New Zealand's Court of Appeal reversed two lower court decisions related to a young man adopted from Russia. He had sought compensation from the Accident Compensation Corporation, FOCC, for post-traumatic stress disorder resulting from childhood abuse. Chile is currently grappling with the aftermath of a partial collapse at the El Teniente copper mine in Rancagua, Chile. The incident, triggered by a seismic event, has tragically claimed the lives of two workers. Operations at the mine, the world's largest underground copper mine and owned by Codelco, the state-owned copper company, have been suspended. A large-scale rescue operation is underway, with at least 100 personnel involved in the search for remaining trapped workers, approximately 100 kilometers south of Santiago. Thailand is currently embroiled in heightened tensions with Cambodia due to recent clashes. Accusations of targeting civilians and violating the laws of war have surfaced. These accusations are further inflamed by nationalist sentiments propagated on social media platforms. Thailand has repatriated two wounded Cambodian soldiers. However, Thailand continues to detain 18 other Cambodian soldiers, adding another layer of complexity to the already strained relationship. Domestically in Thailand, Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra is facing significant opposition. Protesters have voiced strong denouncements against her leadership. This situation is exacerbated by a previous suspension she faced. The suspension stemmed from a leaked phone call. The call purportedly revealed actions that were detrimental to Thailand's interests. Syria is grappling with the aftermath of intense sectarian violence in Swaida, where clashes have led to 1,400 deaths, highlighting the fragility of the nation's stability. Amidst these internal challenges, the Syrian government and the Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, are trading blame over a recent attack in northern Syria, with the Defense Ministry reporting injuries to Syrian army personnel and civilians from an SDF rocket strike near Manbij. In a move to alleviate Syria's energy crisis, Turkey has initiated the supply of Azerbaijani natural gas to the country. The gas will be channeled to Aleppo and Homs, supporting the operational capacity of local power plants, according to Turkish Energy Minister Alparslan Bayraktar. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian is in Pakistan working to strengthen ties between the two nations. He highlighted Pakistan's strategic importance in linking the Silk Road from China to Pakistan. This connection could create a trade route to Europe through Iran. Meanwhile, Iran is reportedly detaining at least 4 U.S. citizens, according to various rights groups and families. 2 Americans were seized in June after attacks on Iranian targets by Israel and the United States. The other 2 have been held since earlier in 2024. Romania is now prepared to openly discuss the Sinti and Roma genocide, a topic that has been historically unacknowledged within the country. The European Day of Remembrance, observed on August 2nd, is playing a crucial role in raising awareness and fostering recognition of the deportation and murder of Roma and Sinti people during the Holocaust. Moving to the Vatican, Pope Leo XIV participated in a festival held in a Roman suburb on Saturday evening, marking the end of the Vatican's week-long celebration dedicated to the youth within the Church. This event, sometimes referred to as the Catholic Woodstock, strategically integrated social media influencers as a method to connect with and engage the younger generation. Germany's oldest and largest gay dance club, Schwooz, has declared bankruptcy after 50 years, citing inflation, rising rents, management issues, and dating apps. Despite cost-cutting measures, the club couldn't overcome its financial struggles. Germany has also voiced concerns about the inadequate aid reaching Gaza. The United Nations reports 6,000 aid trucks are waiting for Israeli permission to enter Gaza, prompting Germany to call the current aid level very insufficient. Pakistan was shaken by a 5.4 magnitude earthquake. The tremors were felt widely across Islamabad, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, KP, and Punjab region. Cities affected included Islamabad, Rawalpindi, Lahore, and Gujranwala. Furthermore, Pakistan's military has received a shipment of Chinese-made Z-10 advanced attack helicopters. These helicopters are the export version of a type deployed by the People's Liberation Army, PLA, near China's mountainous border with India. Canada is grappling with the economic impact of tariffs, as highlighted by Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem. He specifically noted that tariffs on cars, steel, and aluminum are creating significant headwinds for specific sectors. This situation has intensified after trade agreement talks between Canada and Washington faltered, prompting the president to raise tariffs on certain Canadian exports. Jordan, working closely with the United Arab Emirates, executed an airdrop of 18 tons of crucial food and essential supplies into Gaza. The operation aimed to alleviate the escalating starvation crisis affecting the region's population. To capture the gravity of the situation on the ground, a photographer joined the aircrew, documenting the widespread devastation. The United States is facing criticism regarding the State Department's enforcement of the sports exemption within the Trump-era travel ban. Specifically, NPR's Scott Simon highlighted the inconsistent application of the exemption, noting that one Venezuelan Little League team was barred from entering the country, while another team from Venezuela was granted entry. This disparity has ignited concerns about fairness and transparency in the decision-making process. Kosovo has granted citizenship to Dua Lipa, the London-born singer of Kosovan Albanian heritage. President Vjosa Osmani Sadriu conferred the citizenship. Lipa lived in Pristina from age 11 after her family returned following Kosovo's 2008 independence. She resided there until age 15, then moved back to London. Lipa expressed her gratitude for the honor. Finland is currently grappling with a severe heat wave, having experienced 3 weeks of temperatures consistently reaching 30 degrees C. Neighboring Norway is also facing unusually high temperatures. Notably, in the Norwegian Arctic Circle, a weather station recorded temperatures above 30 degrees C on 13 days in July, an unprecedented occurrence. South Korea is facing mounting pressure from the United States to take a firmer stance against China, even as North Korea continues its provocative military posturing. Experts warn that Seoul must carefully balance its relationships to avoid becoming a pawn in a larger geopolitical struggle. Turning to Indonesia, Mount Luatobi, Laki erupted for the second day. The volcano spewed ash and volcanic material as high as 11 miles. Surrounding villages are now covered in volcanic debris. The Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda have forged an economic agreement. The agreement is part of a larger initiative to establish peace. The deal details economic cooperation in energy and mineral supply chains. Across the Atlantic, Europe is bolstering its own climate change monitoring capabilities. This move aims to decrease reliance on American scientific data. Concerns about potential funding reductions in the United States are fueling this effort. Meanwhile, Singapore remembers Goh Keng Swee, its first finance minister. He was a key figure in Singapore's economic rise. Goh also helped establish state-linked companies. These firms were vital in building the brand Singapore image. Finally, Lebanon is in mourning following the death of Siad Rabbani, a celebrated playwright and musician. And that's a wrap for today's news, because even headlines need a nap. Stay curious, stay kind, and let the noise fade as you find your quiet. Take care, stay awesome, and I'll see you next time on WHAM Today.